Waheguru Ji Ka Khalsa, Waheguru Ji Ki Fateh. Welcome to this segment of Coach Gurbani's a-sabad-a-day, the recitation Gujari Mahalla Tija, composition of the third Nanak, Guru Amar Das, where he says to us that Raam Raam Sabh ko kahe, kahe Raam na hoye. So to utter Ram, one of the names that we append to the self, the creator of the universe, he says, Raam Raam Sabh ko kahe. Yes, we can utter Ram, Ram, all the time, incessantly. Kahe Ram na hoye. Ram na hoye. Meaning, merely uttering Ram will not cause you to manifest Ram within. Self-actualization, which is the goal. So mechanical repetition is just a waste of time. It must be accompanied by certain other elements that he speaks of. And the most important amongst them is Gur Prasadi Ram Manavasa. It is through Gur wisdom that it becomes fruitful to utter Ram, Ram. So if you are doing it with the right intent, with the right context, then uttering Ram, Ram can be fruitful. So Raam Raam Sabh ko kahe, kahe Ram na hoye, Gur Prasadi Ram man vasai, ta phal pave koe. It's fruitful only if it is done through the lens of Gur, that mediating agency within you, through wisdom. You have to be touched by wisdom to make the utterance of Ram fruitful. Otherwise, it's simply a mechanical repetition and actually causes problems, as we will see. So what does Gur wisdom do? What does Gur Prasadi do? That is clarified in the Rahau verse, where the Guru says, Antar Govind jis lagge preet, har tis kade na visare, har har kare sada man cheet. So Antar Govind jis lagge preet, when affinity, intimacy with Govind is established, preet, nearness, that is what Gur wisdom does. When you engage with the Gur develops in you a capacity, an intimacy with Govind. And a person who has established that intimacy, that affinity, that love for Govind within, har tis kade na visara, that person will never be unmindful of the self. The self will not escape its recall. It will always be in the mind. And it will dwell in the mind. Sada manachit. So that is what happens. Gur Prasad, the favor of the Gur, the grace of the Gur, creates in a person a fondness, an affinity, a love for Govind. Because you see, when you pay attention to something, you begin to develop an attraction to that thing. And that is what the Gur does for you. On the other hand, there are others, most of us, Hirde jin hai ke kapat vasain, self-deception. We are engaged in self-deception. Baharon sant kahai, but we are hypocrites. We pretend to be self-righteous, but we are actually engaged in self-sabotaging. And the deception is the haume, the ego. Trisna mulana chukai ant gaye pachutai. So people who are living in an egoic state of mind, they leave this world filled with regret. Ant gaye pachutai. And why so? Because Trisna mulana chukai, that fire of desires, has not been put out, has not been satiated. There is still that desire troubling you, which causes you to want to repeat it. You see? Trishna mulana chukai antagaye pashtaye. So now here's an example of hypocrisy. Anek tirth je jatan kare, ta antar ki haume kade na jaye. So you may be pretentious, hypocritical, bathe at many pilgrimages, which people do, going on different pilgrimages, but their self-pride never leaves them. Antar ki haume kade na jaye. So if they remain conflicted, confused, and full of self-doubt, dubida. So jis nar ki dubida na jaye, so those who remain afflicted with it, Dharmarai tis de sajaye, they are condemned, punished by Dharmarai, the keeper of records. This is a metaphor to say that you are then condemned to repeat yourself over and over again, which is what the ego does, because it is not willing to give up its habits. And its primary habit is pride, self-pride, and that causes this illusion, this deception. So you see how this vicious circle operates. What you need is grace. What you need is effort and exertion. Karam hove soi jana paye. Karam hove. Karam is both grace and action, energy, kram. Kram hove sai jana paye. So if you're so favored, then you would exert your energy to receive discernment, soi jana paye, from the Gur. Gurmukh bujya koi, by turning to the Gur. And says Nanak, such a person, only such a person, can vanquish the ego. Vichon haume mare. And then only can an offering of the mind and the body be made to the self. In other words, only then and then is saying Raam Raam truly effective. It's real then. If the ego keeps repeating Raam Raam, it doesn't mean a thing. It's simply a way of bolstering one's sense of pride. And that only grows, and that only blinds. So you have to empty yourself of the ego. Then the utterance of Raam Raam through Guru Prasad is safal, phal pave. Ta phal pave koe, then it becomes fruitful. Vaheguru Ji ka Khalsa, Vaheguru Ji ki Fateh.